Good evening. It's my great pleasure to be here with you this evening to share a little bit of the research that I've been working on over the last several years. My name is Lisa Rozga, and I have been working for Amway for 13 years now. And I'm very fortunate to have not only a job I love, but a job I get to apply a passion I have, which is a passion for science. And I get to use that to create wonderful products that help people live better lives. So today I get to spend a little time this evening speaking with you about one of the products I've worked on over the last 13 years, and that's our green tea extract. Green tea extract is a product that we have developed to help people on their weight management journey. And today I get to share with you the science behind green tea and how the scientists at Nutrilite have taken that and improved on it to make an even better product. So as I mentioned, the product is called green tea extract, and the science I'm going to share with you this evening is related to how this product can help you increase the efficiency of your weight management program. So let's start by looking at obesity in general and how different people look when they gain weight. We have two pictures up there. On the left, we have a body type that's referred to as the apple shape. And in that type of body shape, when someone gains weight, the extra weight is stored in the abdominal area. The other type that you see on the right is referred to as a pear shape. And in that body type, people hold their extra weight in the hips and thigh area, and primarily that's a lot of subcutaneous fat. While it's never healthy to be overweight, there are additional risks associated with abdominal obesity or that apple-shaped body type that we show up here. So with abdominal obesity comes an increase of some serious health risks. Studies have shown that when someone has more abdominal obesity, they're at increased risk for various diseases. Those include heart disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, and even certain cancers are at increased risk when someone has abdominal obesity. And unfortunately, Chinese people are more susceptible to abdominal obesity. There are a few reasons for this. One is genetic body type. Chinese people tend to have a more narrow waist and pelvic region, which tends to accumulate excess weight in the abdominal area. But it's not all genetics. Diet and lifestyle also have an impact on the type of obesity. Chinese people tend to have a diet that's higher in carbohydrates and fat and lower in protein. That, in combination with, in general, less physical activity, also leads to more abdominal obesity. So how does too much fat lead to obesity? This schematic shows the various pathways of how excess fat can lead to weight gain and ultimately obesity. It all starts with intaking too much fat. Weight gain happens when there's an energy imbalance. When you consume more energy, as in more calories than your body can burn, you will accumulate weight. Fat is a more calorie-dense nutrient. It has more calories per gram than a protein or a carb, so when a diet is high in fat, you're more likely to gain extra weight. Once there's too much fat intake, then the fat gets absorbed in the small intestine. So too much intake leads to too much absorption and too much fat circulating in the body. The liver is also constantly synthesizing fat, and too much fat synthesis can lead to weight gain and obesity. So lastly, all that extra energy that has been brought into the body, if your body doesn't need it, it gets stored. And it either gets stored in the hips and thigh area or in the abdominal area, creating abdominal obesity. So why are we looking at green tea extract, and how is it going to help you on your weight management journey? That's what I'm going to share with you today, is a little bit of the science around this great ingredient. So we'll start by looking at tea in general and the compounds that are found in tea and how they can promote health. Tea is a very common beverage. It's consumed in large amounts around the globe, but there are different types of tea. But whether it's green tea, oolong tea, black tea, it all comes from leaves of the same plant, the Camellia sinensis plant. The differences in the teas comes from a process called fermentation. And that fermentation process changes the color and the flavor of the tea. Green tea is not fermented at all. Oolong tea is a partially fermented tea, and then black tea is considered a fully fermented tea. The more that tea is fermented, the greater the change in the chemical compounds that are found in the tea. So if you look at this, we have a picture of a tea plant, and the health-promoting compounds that are found in there are referred to as polyphenols. Polyphenols are a class of phytonutrients. If we look at green tea specifically, the polyphenols that are found in green tea are a class of flavonoids that are referred to as catechins. There are 6 well-known catechins found in green tea, but today we're going to focus on one. And the one that we're going to focus on is called epigallocatechin gallate, or we're going to call it EGCG. And we're going to talk about EGCG for a couple of reasons. One, it's the most abundant catechin found in green tea, and the research to date shows it's also the most pharmacologically active component found in green tea. And if we compare that to a black tea, so a tea that has been fully fermented, the color is different and the taste is different because the polyphenols that are found in black tea are mostly theaflavins. After fermentation, there are very little catechins left in the black tea, but that doesn't mean that black tea is not healthy. The theaflavins that are found in black tea are good for heart health. So while black tea may be more beneficial for heart health, the green tea, and specifically EGCG, is what we're focused on because we're talking about weight management. So let's look at this and look at how can EGCG help me on my weight loss journey. So if you look here over on the left, we have a silhouette of an overweight individual. And this shows that when there is an energy imbalance, when someone's eating too much food, and especially too much fast food and sweets and very high-calorie foods, and exercising too little, that energy imbalance leads to weight gain. So what we want to do is move over to the right side where we have switched the energy balance and resulted in weight loss. And this energy balance requires 2 things. First, it's around food consumption. It's about making healthier food choices as well as controlling portion size. The second part is around moving more. More exercise burns more energy, and so in combination, when you burn more energy and you're consuming less food, that'll lead to weight loss. And this is where EGCG comes in, because studies have shown that EGCG from green tea extract can help support that increased energy expenditure. It may actually help maintain a healthy waistline as well. So how does it do that? EGCG has been studied fairly extensively. There have been a lot of cell studies and animal studies looking at mechanistically what is it doing in the body. And EGCG is a powerful compound because it can impact that fat pathway in 3 different areas. The first is focused on absorption. Studies show that EGCG can inhibit some of the enzymes that are required to make the fat absorbable in the body. So we end up with less fat absorption. The second area of benefit is in less fat synthesis. EGCG can also inhibit some of the enzymes in the liver that are required for the fat synthesis. So when taking EGCG, it can help reduce the amount of fat synthesized in the liver. And the last area is in the storage. If there's less excess fat in the body, less will be stored, but also EGCG can help break down those fat stores and help them be burned for energy. So to find a compound such as EGCG, naturally found in green tea, that has such a broad impact on that whole fat pathway is not very common. And in fact, green tea is one of the most widely used food supplements for weight management, and that's because in addition to all that mechanism data, there are several clinical studies that show when EGCG from green tea is used in combination with a diet and exercise program, it leads to reduced body weight as well as maintaining a healthy waistline. So that sounds great. You may think, I drink a lot of green tea already, or hey, I'll start drinking a lot more green tea, but it's not quite that simple. There are some challenges with getting EGCG from brewed green tea. The first is around getting the EGCG out of the tea leaves. Common brewing techniques with hot water do not remove a large portion of the EGCG, so it gets thrown away with the tea leaves. The hot temperature as well as the exposure to air can actually degrade the EGCG. So it's very challenging to get enough EGCG from drinking brewed green tea. And the second challenge relates to bioavailability, and that's your body's ability to absorb the green tea, and specifically the EGCG from the tea that's consumed. That's because the polyphenols like EGCG are water-soluble compounds, and it's not easy for them to cross the cell membrane and be absorbed into the body where they need to be if they're going to provide a health benefit. So Nutrilite scientists have applied very modern scientific techniques to solve both of those problems. And that's the product that we developed and are launching here is our green tea extract. So the first scientific advantage that we have with our green tea extract is modern extraction techniques. Nutrilite has specialized in plant concentrates since the very beginning. And we've applied those modern extraction techniques to green tea leaves to pull out the, as much EGCG as possible. And we've also standardized this. So each tablet contains 50 milligrams of green tea extract, but that extract is standardized to at least 40% EGCG. So at Nutrilite, we test every shipment of raw material, and we test every batch of tablets we make to ensure we have the correct amount of EGCG before it even leaves our manufacturing floor. So that's a key part of our quality promise. So the second challenge we had was related to absorption of the EGCG. And to solve this problem, we leveraged a technology called phytosomes. And this specific technology is called Green Select Phytosome, or GSP. So we have an animation that shows you how GSP can help with the absorption of EGCG.
绿茶中的重要成分 EGCG 可减少脂肪吸收，抑制脂肪合成，促进脂肪代谢，达至体重管理、减脂瘦腰的目的。但水溶性 EGCG 难以通过脂溶性的细胞膜发挥作用。纽崔莱创新应用 GSP 专利技术，从天然绿茶中提取 EGCG， 结合脂溶性的磷脂，制成绿茶多酚磷脂复合物，帮助 EGCG 穿过细胞表层。
So you can see from that animation that what happens here is the EGCG gets wrapped in like a bubble. Technically, it's called a micelle. So this phospholipid wall is very similar in composition to the cell walls. So when that layer that has the EGCG finds a cell wall, it can bind to that cell wall. And ultimately, that leads to the release of the EGCG into the cell where it can provide the health benefits. So from a very simple terms, it takes two things that don't mix together, such as like an oil and water, and makes them come together. And to prove this out, we actually did a bioavailability study in humans. And in this study, people either took a tablet containing a green tea extract or GSP. And if you look on this graph, the GSP is the green line, and it shows much higher absorption than the standard green tea extract. So this was our proof that the theory that you just saw in the video actually works, and we can get at least double the amount of absorption of EGCG by using GSP. So at Nutrilite, we have very high quality standards, and we always want to ensure that the health benefits we're saying a product will have are proven out in human clinical trials. So this study was published in 2013, and I'm going to share some results with you now. So in this study, it was a randomized single-blind study, so the subjects did not know if they were taking placebo or the GSP. This study also included overweight and obese men and women, 98 subjects, so very similar in size. But this study duration was a little bit longer. This study lasted for 24 weeks. So in this study, they also included a diet and exercise for all subjects. But they got a little more sophisticated in that they individualized the calorie target based on the individual's needs. So they calculated the number of calories that would be needed to maintain current weight, And then they took 750 calorie deficit for women and 1,000 calorie per day deficit for men as the diet target. All subjects were also told to exercise on a regular basis. They were recommended to get 210 minutes of exercise every week, and that comes out to about 30 minutes of physical activity per day. So in this study, we see again at baseline, which is time 0, the body weight between the two groups was very similar. After 24 weeks on either the placebo or the GSP, combined with diet and exercise, that's when we start to see differences between the groups. So the placebo group, again, lost weight, as you would expect on low-calorie diet and exercise, and they lost about 5.9 kilograms of body weight. So that shows it was a well-designed study, and it was conducted well because subjects were compliant with the recommendations. But the really exciting news here is, once again, when subjects took GSP with their diet and exercise, they saw significantly more weight loss. And in this study, they lost 11.8 kilograms, which is twice the amount that was lost with placebo. So just by taking GSP, 1 tablet twice a day, subjects were able to lose twice the weight they would have if they were just doing diet and exercise alone. This study also looked at waist size. We talked earlier how EGCG can help with less absorption and less synthesis and less storage of fat, so you would think it should also reduce waist size. So we looked at men and women differently because they have different standard sizes, but in both groups, the placebo did lose centimeters around the waist. But once again, the really exciting news here and the really exciting data is that with GSP, there was a greater and a significantly greater reduction in centimeters around the waist. For both men and women, those taking GSP lost on average 6.8 centimeters more in their waist. So these were great results that meet the criteria that Nutrilite scientists are always looking for high quality ingredients for each and every one of our products. So I've shared a lot of science with you, so I'm going to share a few summary highlights here to wrap up our talk this evening. First, we talked about how green tea has been shown to be effective for weight loss in several studies. However, those water-soluble catechins like EGCG are very poorly absorbed by the body. So the phytosome technology, like the GSP we used in this product, it improves the bioavailability of those type of compounds such as EGCG. And importantly, clinical studies have shown that when you add GSP to a low-calorie diet and exercise program, you can result in significantly more weight loss. It's also important to note that GSP can help maintain that healthy waistline, again, when combined with a diet and exercise program. So EGCG has a lot of very helpful effects on the body. It can help with fat in 3 different ways. It leads to less absorption of fat that's consumed. It leads to less synthesis of fat in the liver and can also result in less storage of fat. And Nutrilite addressed the 2 major concerns with EGCG. One being around a standardized extract. If EGCG is so important, we need to make sure our extract is pulling all of the EGCG, or as much as possible, out of those green tea leaves, and that we're providing a consistent amount each and every time you buy the product. And by utilizing the GSP technology, we're able to improve the bioavailability. That means doubling the amount of EGCG that makes it into the body. And our green tea extract product contains the exact amount, being 300 milligrams of the GSP in every 2 tablets that was tested in the clinical trials. So with that, I would like to say thank you for your time and attention. Thank you.